Hey guys, it's Arthritis here, coming to you with my second part on my comprehensive guide on Warlock PVP. And if you didn't see the last video, I'll leave a link in the description below. But in the previous video, we had gone over best to worst builds and then placement. For this video, I really want to start going over stat priority, which is the first thing I probably should have went over in the last video, and then gearing, which tunes in with that. And then after that, we'll move to aggressive and defensive moves and who to put those on. And at the very end, I'll move on to pets and best to worst pets. I'll leave timestamps down in the description. But let's get into stats and gearing. Stats are going to be the most important thing on any build, on any character, on any class. And for warlocks, there's three key ones that you're going to be looking after, and that's going to be stam, spell hit, and then spell power in general. Spell hit isn't put at the highest of the priorities because unlike rating, it isn't actually at a 17% cap, it's only at a 5% cap. And with that one initial percent that you will never get off, it's technically only reduced down to 4%. And with this 4% is easily acquired through a couple rings or blood vine. So really you want to start moving into the stam and the spell power. Those are going to be your main focuses. But even stam isn't the highest because when you start to go into DS Ruin or into Soul Link, you're going to get those extra stam buffs just from your talents. 15% if put 5 into Demonic Embrace. Now you might be asking yourself why I haven't included intellect at all into these stat priorities, and that's because you have life tap, of course. Life tap is going to allow you to take health and regen it into your mana bar, and as long as you have a healer near you actually healing you, you basically have unlimited mana until they actually go But moving on from stats, we can start talking about gear. Of course, rank 14 gear is going to be at one of the top priorities, if that of course is one of your priorities and you have enough time and effort to put into it. But from there, a little bit easier is going to be of course your tier 1. Tier 1 is a very popular choice for warlocks due to the fact that it is easy to acquire through MC, and no one's really bidding or wanting the gear due to the fact that it isn't too practical for actual raiding. You can start moving into your tier 2 if your guild and yourself is actually doing VWL, but I would really only move to the 3 set for the 23 spell power increase. Bloodvine is also an option if you're looking to get that 4% hit right off the initial bat. But you can also switch and keep your tier gear and move for more of the rings that have come out in the later phases due to ZG and Blackwing Lair. ZG rings are a little more easy to acquire due to the fact that you can do it at least 2 times a week. But of course, some of the top items that you're going to want are out of BWL, Netherion's Tear, the Band of Force Concentration, and the Band of Dark Dominion. You can also look to fight Hakar through ZG as I talked previously for the Cloak of Consumption, which will also give you another 1% hit. Acquiring these items at least in your trinket and ring slots, and even on your back slot, is going to at least allow you to keep more of your tier sets into place and not have to sacrifice the set bonus. In my personal opinion, the best way that you could do it is a 5-piece tier 1 set, a 3-piece tier 2 set, the Cloak of Consumption, Nefarion's Tear, and then of course the Band of Dark Dominion and Band Force Concentration. This will allow you to have your 4% and have an increased boost in stamina with your 5-piece set and still acquiring the 3-piece set from your tier 2. So moving on from stats and gearing, we can start talking about what actually makes a warlock, and that's actually its aggressive and defensive moves. So the whole entire bread and butter of warlocks are going to be dots. There's 3 primary aggressive dots that you're going to want to focus on, and if you're DS Ruin, there's only 2. Those dots are going to be, of course, Corruption, Curse of Agony, and then Siphon Life. For prioritizing what curses you want to put up first, in my opinion, I would put up Corruption, of course, and that's going to allow to see Nightfall procs and allow you to have those insta-cast Shadow Bolts. And then after that, I would move into a Siphon Life. Siphon Life is going to allow you to regen health with just the dot up. So if you're applying it to multiple targets in a bigger situation, this will allow you to keep a little bit tankier. And with those Nightfall procs, you're going to be mobile at the same time. And then of course you're going to have your finisher move, Shadow Burn. I recommend stocking up on as many shards as possible. You're not picking up inventory during PvP, so in my recommendation I would just take out all your normal bag slots and apply the largest soul shard bags that you can and stock up to the very brim. But then finally we have Death Coil, and I left Death Coil to the very end because I find it to be an aggressive and a defensive move at the very same time because you are regenning health. You also could consider Drain Life to be in the same category, but I consider it more to be a defensive move. But moving on to defensive moves, we have our Soul Stones and we have our Health Stones. And then of course our crowd controlling moves, which are going to be our Fears and Howl of Terrors. Banish can be used for crowd controls against other warlocks, allowing them not to be able to use their sacrifice or charms or anything like that. And then we have the Sacrifice on the Void. With the Fell Domination, this will allow you to have at least 2 bubbles at a time and keep you nice and beefy. And this time I would recommend moving over to a melee or a healer if you can find one, to get a nice quick heal off or allow that melee to take off the target that's actually after you. And then finally we have Shadow Ward. If you just see a warlock or a shadow priest coming near you, just apply Shadow Ward. Just inherently just make that your first instinct to do that. This is going to mitigate so much damage from you and allow you to keep into the fight and possibly get a decurse from a mage. But stepping back to aggressive moves and who we want to start putting those aggressive moves on, of course, is going to be the healers. The longer the healers are alive, the longer the rest of the opposing group is going to live. After that, you're going to start to want to focus on to the range, and then finally on to the melee. But at the very beginning, we're going to want to apply a large spread of dots onto range and the healers at the exact same time. The reason why is because more and more Nightfall procs and the more Shadow Burns that you have up means the faster that you can pull out big crits and just melt down those healers. But that's kind of my stance on who you should be targeting, of course, first. Not necessarily it always has to be the range, but it should always be the healers. Of course, if there's no healers, you can make your judgment call on the place that you are, but in a perfect world, it would go healers, ranged, and then melee. But moving on from that, I guess we can talk about the final topic, and that would be pets. There's really 3 options for pets. Well, there is 4, but one of them isn't really taken into consideration, and that's the Imp. The Imp provides no beneficial needs to anything, it just dies very easily. But for the 3 main pets that you're going to want to use, the most popular one would of course be the Fell Hunter, and then the Succubus, and at the very end, but my personal favorite, would be the Void Walker. But first, let's talk about the most popular one, and for good reason, and that's going to be the Fell Hunter. The Fell Hunter is specifically designed for PvP, and with the movesets you can plainly see that. The moves that it has are Devour Magic, which is going to be your purging effect. But it actually has an extra benefit from it, because if this purge actually goes off, it's going to heal your Fell Hunter for a slight bit of health. You also have your Spell Lock, which is going to be your silence ability. If this silence is taken while the caster is actually casting something, it's going to silence that cast for 8 seconds of that specific school of magic. It also has the benefit of putting Tainted Blood on it, so if any melee attackers want to attack your Fell Hunter, this is going to reduce their attack power by 40 and can actually stack up to 5 times. And then it has an all-around buff effect of Paranoia, which is going to increase the stealth detection for your whole entire group by 30 yards. So it's kind of easy to see why the Fell Hunter is primarily picked for PvP and is the most coveted one. It comes with all the utility, it comes with all the move sets for it. But moving down the list is the Succubus. The Succubus doesn't come with quite the wide variety of moves as the Fell Hunter did, but it does come with one primary one, and that's going to be Seduction. Seduction is going to be your charm ability. This is going to help mostly on the side of Alliance when you're going against Horde players that have immunity effects to your fears. This is going to allow them to be stunned for a maximum of 15 seconds. But take into note that any damaging effects will break this charm, so don't start to put your dots on first and then try and charm your ability, because you're just going to keep on breaking it over and over again. But other than that, the Succubus doesn't have too much more going for it. But the last pet on the list, and personally my favorite pet, is going to be the Voidwalker. Like the Succubus, it doesn't come with too many moves. Its primary thing is going to be the Sacrifice, and this Sacrifice is going to allow you to get a bubble for 1938 damage. Use this with Fell Domination, and you can actually quick cast another Voidwalker back up to have that ready when your first bubble breaks. This will stop the effects of pushback onto your castings, but it will not stop a pummel or a counter spell or any other interrupt moves like that. So take that into consideration, but primarily this bubble is used to get out of tight situations where you might be starting to get grouped up and allow you to move more into the mid or background of things. And with the last pet done, I'm going to end the video there. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, leave a like, and if you'd like to hear more, leave a comment down in the comment section below. I'm also on Twitch pretty much 7 days a week, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe and have a great day. Bye.